The top stories tonight in Y News. More prominent personalities aspiring to secure a national position emerged on the 6th day of the filing of Certificate of Candidacy.
The National Telecommunications Commission has ordered the probe on emergency alert messages, which contain Bongbong Marcos' presidential bid for the 2022 elections.
The official website of the Senate of the Philippines was shut down by its administrators today due to cyber attacks.
COVID-19 booster shots eyed for health workers in November or early next year as vaccine supplies continue to arrive in the country in the Philippines.
59 out of 638 nominated public schools have so far passed the Department of Health's Granular risk assessment for the pilot implementation of the limited face-to-face classes.
Former Facebook employee who leaked controversial documents of the social media giant testified before the U.S. Senate.
Good evening, Philippines and the world. We are now reporting live from Quezon City, and today is Wednesday, October 6, 2021. I am William Theo.
Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the country and in other parts of the world. I'm Angelo Castro III.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media accounts and our website untvweb.com. I am Mariela Toza.
First in the news, more prominent personalities aspiring to secure a national position emerged on the 6th day of the filing of Certificate of Candidacy. Harleen Delgado will tell us why.
Former Senator Bongbong Marcos has filed his Certificate of Candidacy a day after he officially announced his bid for presidency. With no vice president by his side, Marcos revealed that it was supposed to be President Duterte.
The original plan was for us to adopt PRRD for our vice presidential candidate. Pero sa mga nangyari noong nakaraang Sabado, nagbago lahat ng plano. Kaya't ngayon, nagkukonsulta kami, yung partido, at siyempre lahat ng ating mga ibang kasamahan na kung anong dapat gawin.
When asked if he is willing to partner with Senator Christopher Bong Go, Marcos has this to say.
Paano yun? Bong to the third power. Baka pwede rin, we'll see. Kaya nga, nagulat, siguro pati kayo, lahat naman tayo nagulat yung mga pangyayari ng Sabado.
Meanwhile, Senator Panfilo Lacson and Senate President Vicente Soto III have also formalized their candidacies for president and vice president respectively. Carrying the slogan KKK, Kakayahan, Katapatan, Katapangan, the two lawmakers highlighted their decades of track record and their vow to go after corrupt officials and illegal drugs, among others.
Kung ipagkakaloob ng Diyos na ang Lacson-Soto tandem ang mapipiling mamuno, isang disiplinadong burokrasya ang pairalin, kabilang na ang maayos na paggastos ng pambansang budget upang makaabot ang biyaya at kaunlaran sa mga liblib na lugar ng bansa.
If we hold the reins of the executive department, we will be able to execute it well. We know the ills, we know the solution. Balance the budget reform, bring the money to the people, enhance the fight versus illegal drugs by more emphasis on demand reduction strategy.
Other political figures also filed their COCs on the sixth day of filing. These include resigned DPWH Secretary Mark Villar and former Quezon City Mayor Herbert Bautista, who are both seeking a Senate seat. Re-electionist Senators Juan Miguel Zubiri and Joel Villanueva also filed their COCs, hoping to secure a second term in office. Former Senator and DILG Secretary Joey Lina filed his certificate of nomination and acceptance as nominee of Ang Kumadrona party list, which aims to give importance to midwives and communities. The sixth day of the COC filing in Pasay City yielded over 80 aspirants for national positions in the 2022 elections. Jorlene Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Meanwhile, local government officials in the National Capital Region seeking re-election and other local posts also filed their certificate of candidacy 3 days before the deadline. JP Nunez details why.
Incumbent Manila Vice Mayor Hani Lacuna Pangan will try to inherit Mayor Isko Moreno Dumagoso's post in the May 9, 2022 elections. She will run with 3rd District Representative Yul Servo as her Vice Mayor. Lacuna, proclaimed as the standard bearer of Partido Ascenso Manileño, assures to continue projects they started during Dumagoso's term.
Ang aking taus-pusong pasasalamat sa ating punong lungsod sa iyong pag-alalay at pagkilala sa akin bilang iyong kaagapay at di lamang isang spare tire. Sa pagkakataong ito, ang iyong partner at binansagan mong Hani Bakuna ay higit mong pinaniniwala ang makakapagpatuloy sa lahat ng ating mga sinimulan. Isang hamon na buong tapang kong haharapin na may sapat na karanasan, hinupugnan na mahaba-habang panahon at nalagpasan na ang napakaraming pagsubok.
Meanwhile, Mandaluyong City Mayor Menchie Abalos will slide down to Vice Mayor to give way to her father-in-law, Benjamin Abalos Sr., who will attempt to make a political comeback. Las Piñas Mayor Imelda Mel Aguilar, who is seeking her 3rd and last term of office, filed her certificate of candidacy at the local commission on elections, together with her daughter, April Aguilar Neri, who is also vying for her 2nd term as city vice mayor. Mayor Oscar Malapitan of Caloocan, who is in his 3rd and final term, filed his certificate of candidacy as 1st District Representative, while his son Along Malapitan will seek the mayoralty post. Mayor Miguel Ike Ponce of Pateros is also seeking re-election. Pasig City Mayor Vico Soto, Mayor Joy Belmonte of Quezon City, San Juan Mayor Francis Zamora, and Mayor Emmy Calixto Rubiano of Pasay City today formalized their intent to remain in their posts. JP Nunez, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The official website of the Senate of the Philippines was shut down by its administrators today due to cyber attacks. The Senate's Electronic Data Processing Management and Information System Bureau said it temporarily blocked access to the website because of an ongoing distributed denial of service attack. According to the EPDMIS, the entry of traffic came from different countries, but there is a possibility that the Internet Protocol or IP address may be fake or spoofed. The cyber attack on the Senate website came moments after Gordon issued a statement reporting a DDoS attack on his official website last October 4.
The National Telecommunications Commission has ordered a probe over some emergency alert messages which contain Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos's presidential bid for the 2022 elections. Dante Amento tells us why live. Yes, Dante.
Good evening, Diego. Many mobile phone users received simultaneous emergency alerts almost immediately after former Senator Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. filed his certificate of candidacy for president this morning. But instead of the usual emergency alert reminder, the text blast was that of a pro-Marcos message. In a statement, the National Telecommunications Commission, or NTC, said they already ordered swift investigation over the emergency alert messages which contain promotion for former Senator Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. presidential bid for the 2022 elections. In a statement, the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council clarifies it has not issued such message for distribution to the public through its telco partners. Marcos's camp, on the other hand, said that they support the probe over the illegal use of emergency alert message containing pro-Bongbong Marcos narratives. Marcos family received similar alert message, and any group or groups who's behind this should not be tolerated. Meanwhile, COMELEC spokesperson Director James Jimenez has disclosed that there is no specific violation for this, but the use of such system is allegedly imprudent.
Unfortunately, it is not, again, a violation of any electoral law that I am aware of, mainly because I don't think the law ever anticipated that there would be an emergency alert system. Second, the law doesn't really prohibit that sort of thing. Again, in general terms, that's not.
Meanwhile, Diego, the National Union of People's Lawyers, or NUPL, stresses that the country's situation will get worse if another Marcos would return in Malacanang. NUPL President Attorney Edri Olalia says Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. is a known ally of President Rodrigo Duterte, which human rights violations and corruption are happening in his administration. And that's the latest live from Quezon City. Back to you, Diego.
Thank you for that live report, Dante Amento. COVID-19 vaccine supplies continue to arrive in the country. As of October 5, a total of 77,410,640 doses have been delivered. The National Task Force Against COVID-19 is eyeing to provide COVID booster shots for health workers in November of 2021 or January 2022. Rosalie Cos details why.
The National Task Force Against COVID-19 is still awaiting for the recommendation of the health experts before it can begin with the administration of booster shots. As earlier stated, healthcare workers will be the first to get revaccinated.
Kasama yan sa namin tinatawag namin 6 to 8 month vaccination cycle. Meaning, pagka once na nagkaroon na ng approval sa WHO at saka DOH na pwede na natin bakunahan ang ating healthcare workers ng third dose, meron na po tayo nakalaan. At nakita po namin na yung 777 na healthcare workers na nauna natin binakunahan noong March, uunahin na po natin yan either November or maybe January.
NTF Chief Implementer and Vaccine SAR Secretary Carlito Galvez also said there is a need to recalibrate the vaccination plan because of the more transmissible virus variants as well as the upcoming 2022 national elections. From its initial 70%, the government is increasing the target population to 80 to 90%. According to studies made and published through the medical journal The Lancet, reduction in vaccine effectiveness against SARS-CoV-2 infections over time is probably primarily due to the waning immunity with time rather than the Delta variant escaping vaccine protection. Infectious disease expert and vaccine expert panel member Dr. Ron Jean Solante meanwhile said it is possible in the future that the COVID-19 vaccine can be given yearly to further protect us from being infected.
And like other infection, like let's say flu or influenza, we always had that vaccination every year to maintain our protection against influenza. So ito yung nakikita natin ngayon na mukhang may kahawig na siya dito na parang we can have a yearly vaccination because of the waning immunity of this vaccine, and that's part of the consideration now sa ibang bansa na most likely every year we'll have an annual COVID-19 vaccine.
The Philippines has fully vaccinated more than 22 million of the targeted population, or 28.5%. Rosa Licos, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Department of Education will pilot the limited face-to-face classes in November. This will coincide with the start of the second quarter of the school year 2021-2022. Janice Inhente details why.
59 of the 638 nominated public schools have so far passed the Department of Health's Granular Risk Assessment for the pilot implementation of the limited face-to-face classes. These schools cleared are from provinces such as Masbate, Aklan, Antique, Cebu, Zamboanga Sibugay, Zamboanga del Sur, Lanao del Norte, Sarangani, and North Cotabato.
Dahil hindi po natin makumpleto yung 100, the DOH will have a rolling assessment of the remaining schools periodically, transmitting to the Department of Education every Monday until we are able to complete the 120.
Participating schools come from areas under Alert Level 1 and 2, but the Department of Health is coordinating with experts to see how urban areas can be included in the pilot implementation.
It is part of our discussions already with our experts to include certain areas like National Capital Region if and when the hospital utilization declines here in Metro Manila. We are coordinating now with our child health experts and our TAG experts on how we can be able to include urban areas in these levels of classification for the pilot implementation, because right now, most of the urban areas are in high alert levels.
The pilot run of limited face-to-face classes will end on January 31, 2022. DepEd is currently identifying the 20 private schools that will join the pilot test. After the pilot study, DepEd is set to conduct evaluation and present their assessment and recommendation to President Rodrigo Duterte on whether to extend the face-to-face classes. If approved, the expansion will begin on March 7, 2022. Janice Inhente, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Meanwhile, the number of areas in the National Capital Region under granular lockdown has decreased. Based on the data released by the Philippine National Police today, from 233, it is now down to 192. These areas included 126 houses, 29 residential building floors, 23 streets, and 14 subdivisions or villages. The Interagency Task Force decided to extend the pilot implementation of the alert level system, which includes granular lockdowns in the NCR until October 15. The National Task Force Against COVID-19 sees vaccination of minors as beneficial to tourism and the economy. This is while the Department of Tourism appeals to allow minors and elders to travel for leisure. Asher Kadapan Jr. details why live. Yes, Asher, good evening. Go ahead.
Good evening, Will. Age restriction prevents families to travel for leisure, which impacts tourism revenues and the gradual reopening of the economy. Concerned government agencies identified this challenge as the country seeks to balance the economy and its response against COVID-19. Tourism Secretary Puyat explains that families tend to postpone their leisure travel and outdoor activities due to restrictions, especially against their children. The Department of Tourism also anticipates that their appeal to lift the travel restriction against individuals below 18 and above 65 years old will be approved by the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases.
Hindi naman yan mag-out of town kung hindi kasama mga anak niya. So, yun ang one of the reasons bakit hindi pumupunta.
Vaccine Czar and National Task Force Against COVID-19 Chief Implementer Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr. also explains that increasing tourism activities will bring back livelihood to the people, boosting the economy. Galvez further emphasizes the need to vaccinate minors aged 12 to 17 years old to encourage more families to travel for leisure.
So kung vaccinated na yung ating mga children, most likely nandun na yung tinatawag consumers confidence na ngayon na yung buong pamilya pupunta doon sa dining area, pupunta doon sa mga tinatawag nating mga tourism spot.
Will the NTF meanwhile expands the pilot vaccination of children to 8 hospitals in Metro Manila. They target to start the vaccination of minors below 18 years old on October 15. Will?
Yes, thank you. Asher Gataban Jr. reporting live.
The Philippines today posted 9,868 new COVID-19 infections, pushing the nationwide case count to 2,622,917. The low daily case count is due to lower laboratory output last Monday. It also excludes data from 2 laboratories. Of the nationwide tally, there are 112,807 active cases. Of this, 76.7% are mild, 13.9% are asymptomatic, 5.49% are moderate, 2.8% are severe, and 1.2% are in critical condition. Meanwhile, only 133 new recoveries were logged today. These brought the recovery tally to 2,471,282. The death toll remained at 38,828 as no new fatalities again reported today due to technical issues with the data system COVID. Meanwhile, the overall global COVID-19 caseload has topped 235,908,859, while the deaths have surged to 4,818,982 according to the Johns Hopkins University. The U.S. is the worst hit country with the world's highest number of cases and deaths at 43,950,084 and 705,284 respectively, according to the CSSE. In terms of infections, India follows with 33,871,881 cases and 449,538 deaths. In terms of deaths, Brazil comes second with 598,829 fatalities and 21,499,074 confirmed cases. And for the news abroad, Australia's Prime Minister Scott Morrison is hinting that he won't attend the United Nations COP26 Glasgow Climate Change Summit in November. Prime Minister Scott Morrison says his first responsibility is to explain to Australians, not to people at overseas conferences, the country's plans for technology and emissions reduction over the long term. He insisted that while the climate change conference is crucial, talking to Australians concerning emissions reduction plan and economy transition over the next 30 years is his utmost priority. The UK's High Commissioner to Australia has earlier warned it will be very disappointing if Scott Morrison doesn't attend climate talks. Frances Haugen, the whistleblower who leaked controversial Facebook documents to the Wall Street Journal, testified before the U.S. Senate on Tuesday. Maeve Yandog details why live. Yes, Maeve, please go ahead.
Marielle, after less than 2 years of working at Facebook, Hogan broke her silence and exposes the dangers of the social media giant. She urges the government to take action against Facebook's alleged lack of safety and transparency. Hogan criticized the hidden operations of the social media platform and their divisive and toxic algorithm designed to lure vulnerable users to self-loathe, only to be exposed to more mentally harming content. She further went on to say the dangers of platforms like Facebook and its products. Hogan has leaked one Facebook study that found 13% of UK teen girls say their suicidal thoughts became more frequent, while US showed 6%. Another leaked study found 17% of teen girls say their eating disorders got worse after using Instagram.
And unfortunately, in the case of teen girls and things like self-harm, they develop these feedback cycles where children are using Instagram as to self-soothe, but then are exposed to more and more content that makes them hate themselves.
Meanwhile, Senator Richard Blumenthal criticized Facebook for profiting of victimized young teens and shared a father's experience regarding Instagram's harmful environment and how it affected his daughter.
My 15-year-old daughter loved her body at 14, was on Instagram constantly, and maybe posting too much. Suddenly she started hating her body dysmorphia, now anorexia, and was in deep, deep trouble before we found treatment. I fear she'll never be the same.
Moreover, Hogan claims that Facebook's leadership knows the negative impacts their products cause and are aware of a more safer measures to reduce these risks but won't implement them, prioritizing their profits over the people's safety. The senators at the hearing demanded the end of Facebook's toxic environment and even extended an invitation for CEO Mark Zuckerberg to testify Facebook's side. Marielle?
Maeve, what has Facebook said in terms of the allegations against them?
Marielle, in a company statement, Facebook denied the characterization of the issues Frances Hogan disclosed at the meeting, but had agreed at one thing: standard rules for the internet need to be made. They further call out the Congress, putting the responsibility on them to make legislations for societal decisions. Mark Zuckerberg himself also states that such accusations are simply not true and illogical, and are well committed in developing a safe industry for children. Back to you, Marielle.
Thank you, Mavian Dog, reporting live. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration, or NASA, prepares to launch a spacecraft which will intentionally crash into an asteroid. Joselito Liquido tells us why, live. Yes, Joselito, please go ahead.
Good evening, Marielle. NASA's Double Asteroid Redirection Test, also known as DART mission, would be the first space operation to test an asteroid deflection to stop space objects from hitting Earth. The mission is part of the planetary defense after a meteor exploded over Russia in 2013, creating shockwaves across the country. DART is planned to launch on November 23 aboard a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket from Space Force based in California. It involves sending a high-speed spacecraft into an asteroid's orbit to change its motion by crashing into it. The near-Earth asteroid Didymos and its moonlet will be the target of this mission, according to Cleomenes Siganes, a member of the DART team and a scientist who suggested that the moonlet will be named Dimorphos. This would be the first celestial object to change due to humanity. After the initial launch, the spacecraft is expected to collide in September 2022 when the asteroid system is within 11 million kilometers from Earth to enable ground observations. Meanwhile, the European Space Agency will launch mission Hera 2 years after the DART mission to study Didymos and Dimorphos after the collision. Marielle?
Joselito, what is the concept behind crashing a spacecraft to enable asteroid deflection?
Marielle, crashing a spacecraft into an asteroid at high speed is a demonstration of what is called the kinetic impactor technique. It actually aims to change the orbit of any near-Earth objects, or NEOs, which are closing on hitting our planet. In the upcoming DART mission, the crash is expected to change the time it takes to the moonlet Dimorphos to orbit Didymos. Back to you, Marielle.
Thank you, Joselito Liquido, for that live report. And before we close, we will leave you with a word giving glory to God from the book of Romans chapter 8, verse 18. It says, "For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us."
And those are the reasons behind the news. October 6, 2021. I'm Angelo Castro III.
Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I am Marielle Latoza.
And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The original plan was for us to adopt PRRD for our vice presidential candidate. Pero sa mga nangyari noong nakaraang Sabado, nagbago lahat ng plano. Kaya't ngayon, nagkukonsulta kami, yung partido, at siyempre lahat ng ating mga ibang kasamahan na kung anong dapat gawin.
Kung ipagkakaloob ng Diyos na ang Lacson Soto Tandem ang mapipiling mamuno, isang disiplinadong burokrasya ang pairalin. Kabilang na ang maayos na paggastos ng pambansang budget upang makaabot ang biyaya at kaunlaran sa mga liblib na lugar ng bansa.
Unfortunately, it is not, again, a violation of any electoral law that I am aware of, mainly because I don't think the law ever anticipated that there would be an emergency alert system. Second, the law doesn't really prohibit that sort of thing. Again, in general terms, that's not covered by the law.